it's working.
10 seconds maybe. Wait for the official. Some last minute things I got a feeling.
It hit. It's 7 o'clock.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. I would like to call this evening's October Town Board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Vastola,
Present.
Councilman Stat,
Here.
Councilman Gronwall,
Here.
Councilwoman Crowley,
Present.
Councilman Mitchell.
Here. And I would like our esteemed former town council member, Mark Melmadeer, to lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
We have 2 meetings minutes to approve. We'll start off with the regular meeting on September 4th. Need a motion? Any corrections?
Motion to approve.
Second. Those in favor? Aye, that carries. And our workshop on the 24th.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
In discussion? Those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
that carries. Thank you. Public hearing now to entertain comments pertaining to the 2024 special assessment roll to collect District Number 1 capital improvement costs based on the benefit formula. And once again, is anyone from the public wish to, and no one's online as well, comment on that? So we could make a motion for that public hearing to open. We could do that. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Still looking for discussion. I'll make a motion to close that public hearing at this time.
Second.
Okay, we'll get Marcus second. It was a tie. Those in favor?
Aye.
That carries. Okay. Hello? I attended a sign language class that was very nice at FLCC for the past 5 weeks, and I graduated, and yet there was 3 PhDs in that class, and the most engaging person that did the most was a 6th grade girl. Just spectacular on how much she was able to absorb and how much time she put into it. But it's fascinating. We talk about the Rochester deaf community being one of the largest ones in the nation. It's still a magnet because of NTID. And you can go back and look at the history of Kodak. Kodak hired over 350, 400 deaf people at one time. Now the medical community, our U of R folks and so forth. So scientists are being recruited for the deaf community. They're recruiting scientists more and more. And that's a big, big thing. In fact, I would love getting numbers from our folks at U of R because they keep talking about it. So it's very, very good time.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Number 2 is annual state of the town. I'll be recording that on October 24th. If anyone has anything they'd like me to speak about, I'll be happy to incorporate that. I'm using pictures that we took at the highway during the winter over months. I've got pictures of the bull rings on County Road 36 in Jersey Hill and pictures of the kids doing their fun things on the day of caring. Questions? Anyone else privilege of the floor? None at this. I'm going to cover that later. Yep. Thank you. Communications should be self-explanatory, and we'll go into reports. Town clerk.
Paying to the supervisor for the general fund, $1,193.53. For water billing, $730.82. That just got started though, because the billing just began. DEC for decals, $3,087.77. Animal Population Control Fund, 8, and Health Department for marriage license, $22.50 for a total disbursement of $5,400. $42.62. And that's all I have.
Make a motion to approve the town clerk's report.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? All right, that carries. Thank you. Historian, no report, but Councilman Stat did bring in some items from the past to look at. And also, we're going to engage our historian in the comp plan to look up a few things as well. So we're definitely get some activity out of that office. And also, we are recruiting a deputy historian. I can do a little more advertising that besides saying it at the town board meeting. CEO report, Joe Miller. We got the general report. Anything beyond that? Any discussion, Joe?
I did want to update everybody on the Mueller project. I talked to Jim Keir, the Ontario County CEO, and they applied for a variance through the state because the project they want to do is on protected wetlands. So they're still waiting on the variance. I assume it's going to probably take quite a bit of time.
You're talking about the field station?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have copies of those plans and they're going to submit to the, I didn't want to jump on this, but they are going to submit to the planning board for the November meeting. Just so
Okay.
you're aware. And I've got the plans here.
Okay.
Okay. And keep me in the loop on what's going on as far as through the county. And he's also working on a county project, that same firm. So thank you.
Okay.
What's the project?
It's a new bunkhouse and basically, essentially, it's meant to blend in with the existing structure. It's beautiful. And it's very minimal impact. It will be connected to the structure. Currently, it's a very tight space and many times when students are staying overnight, they're camping. It's a combined bunkhouse. This new one will have a capacity of 12. Then the faculty will have a much better en-suite scenario connected to the offices in the original structure. So I could pass, these are available and it's still in draft mode, but it's coming before the county.
And our
Coming before the planning board.
is just the grounds. As far as the building side of it, that's all going to be county stuff.
Yep. But he's as a courtesy, he's going to bring it to the town planning board. He felt comfortable with that. So I just thought I'd give Ted a heads up.
Okay.
It's more of a courtesy, I believe. But, yeah, that's great. I'm glad he brought it up. I was like delighted. So thank you. Thank you, Joe. Planning board, Ted Mayhood.
Yeah, the planning board met September 23rd. We have the minutes. County planning, there was an application from the town of Richmond. They want to double the size of the solar farm. So expand rest of the week. Other than that, comprehensive plan committee is moving along. As of that date, they had 95 responses out of 1,067 that postcards have been sent. Since then, there have been 5 or 6 additional ones. So we're moving right along. The application, we completed a review of the Ewing site plan. We're demolishing 2 structures and joining 2 parcels together as a single lot. And given final approval. Any questions?
Thank you, Ted. ZBA, there was a meeting held, did not get the minutes yet, but we'll likely have them for our next meeting. And Highway Superintendent Jeremy Freen.
Road project is complete. We installed the new shoulder backup material and fixed driveway transitions up there. Also spent close to 2 weeks helping out our neighbors with all their paving projects. They were pushed back to pretty much the end of the season. So we helped the towns of Richmond, Bristol, spring water, and I did send a truck to help, the town of Canandaigua one day, just to help, repay the favor that they did for us when we had to deal with that, the roadside, garbage that was put on Kratzy Hill. They helped us out immensely by letting us use their, permit for the landfill, so. Took the grader up to Candice Hill Road and regraded and compacted the surface up there. Should be the last time before winter, just hopefully, unless we get some pretty decent rains. Been doing some ditching over in Kuykendall to fix a runoff issue down there, 15A. Also did some ditching on Candice Lake Road. Replaced a couple driveway pipes and a cross culvert between Birch Hill and Purcell Hill. So we hauled approximately 90 tons of ice control sand in. The supplier sent an email out saying that they were having a special 75 cents off a ton. But when it's a garbage product and you're just throwing it all away, every little penny that you can save counts. So we hauled that in and mixed whatever salt that we had on hand up with that while we were hauling it in. And I have 500 tons scheduled to be delivered tomorrow of salt. Roadside mowing, on our third trip, we switched over to the heavy duty brush head. So we're mowing the grass with that, as well as shrubs and branches that are sticking out into the right of way that are on our way from mowing. So he's up on Ross Road now. He'll be headed back down and probably head around on the 37. Down by between Holmes Road and Lukenbach on 37. It's really overgrown down there. And I've been after the county several times this summer and no response. So I cleared it with Dan Rago, who's the county's highway superintendent, and he gave us the go ahead to take care of that ourselves. So we'll be able to get reimbursed for a little bit extra money to take care of that. So we've been reimbursed from the Ontario County Soil and Water for the materials for this year's Fleximat WQIP grant project, and the CHIPS paperwork has also been submitted and processed with a expected payment around December 18th. I was also approached by the town of Naples, who is looking into leasing some weather stations that they mount on utility poles. So it's a self-contained unit. It has a little solar panel that charges the batteries. It has an infrared road temperature and air temperature monitor on it. And then it also has a camera, so you can access live footage of what the road conditions are. And then they use an AI program to sync all that data in with weather forecast, and they kind of help forecast, when you might expect your road to freeze, situation like that. They are $3,000 a year for the lease on that particular weather station. They approached me because they want to put it on County Road 36 and French Hill Road, which is a cold spot for us. It's right on the curve, and it's always in the shade. So usually that's a spot where it freezes first for us when we're down there. I didn't have an issue with that. I thought I would ask you guys what your opinion was. To split it 50-50 with them this year to try it. It also helps. It gives us the opportunity to see how well they work and see if that's something that's worth sticking on some of our own roads. I have tried to get the county to pay for that, but they really want nothing to do with it. But I guess I don't know any opinions. There is a flyer kicking around somewhere that
Oh, I didn't see that. Jim and I have talked about this a few times. from my chair, it makes sense. Also, they helped us out with the weed harvest, using their truck for 2 seasons, didn't charge us a nickel. And the asset would still be theirs if they buy it, but we get the data and we get a nice view of it. So
I think they should be all over the town. I think it's a great asset for you, and it's a time saver for us, because you're wasting time sending a guy up there and you don't need to.
Well, assuming it works as advertised. So I'm 200% to a 1-year trial, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then evaluate. This is technology,
Yeah,
so you don't know.
currently
I haven't seen it yet.
the town of East Bloomfield has 3, I believe, and the town of Bristol has 2. And they have them kind of positioned on their town borders so that East Bloomfield can look at the Bristol ones and vice versa. And they have definitely paid for themselves and some of their call out procedures in the morning and for road checking. You can get on the camera and physically see what the road condition is. You can see what the air temperature is, what the road temperature is, and then make a decision without having to drive 20 minutes all the way down there to Naples to actually physically look at it, especially if it's for nothing.
What does snow and ice do to the solar panel? Does it mess with it?
It is obviously angled towards the sun, so it should have some sort of pitch on it. I imagine that being covered for a day or 2 isn't gonna necessarily hurt the battery, but that's a question I can answer.
No, I was wondering about usefulness, if it's covered for a couple of days.
Right, yeah, it
Are you
does,
gonna-
it does have a battery that, and then the solar panels purpose is just to charge the battery.
And Terry's right, it's using AI, which, everybody's,
Well,
paying a lot of attention
there's
to.
a mother nature issue here. So Dorothy and I drive to Naples regularly. So this is a region with microclimates. So going from our house to Naples,
Temperature drops. Fierce.
yeah, let's just say it works correctly. He'll get information at 36 in Feather Street. But that won't tell him what it's like 2 miles down the road necessarily. But if it works, maybe increase the density of these.
Well, there's one problem spot on 36, and that's where this is.
Yeah,
gonna
I
be.
know, but I mean, still, you can't be sure that there's not a problem.
Right,
Further down.
it's not 100% eliminate all road checks. It's just another tool
Yeah,
in the toolbox.
Right,
Have any radio interference or cellular interference?
Nope.
It's
Cellular. It's cellular.
yeah,
it's
it's wireless, yeah, and they're gonna pay for the cellular.
Well, they own it. It's their asset.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
their
Right,
asset.
but
managing.
there's a operational cost to it.
That's included
That's it.
in the lease.
$2,000.
Okay,
So it's an annual lease, which is one thing I'm not crazy about because you're still paying for it in the summertime.
summer.
You're not necessarily using it unless you happen to have one at in an area that's typically prone to flooding.
flood, right,
Yeah.
right.
Then you could obviously get on and look at the camera and use it in that manner, but
I might bring this up at Public Works meeting tomorrow. See what-
We should see who else is competition to them. Because Jeremy's right, if you could do a different lease arrangement.
right. So they're in the WQIP that we worked with Soil and Water on in order to get the plow weights. This was included in that grant funding.
No,
But at the time, from my opinion, that plow weights is more important than that, and we only had countywide, I think we had a $200,000 limit on what we could actually apply for in the grant funding, which we exceeded, so some of the towns actually had to back off on what they were asking for.
okay, you did say
So,
Bristol has two and East Bloomfield has two.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So hopefully this grant is successful and it'll come around again next year, and this might be something that we can use to apply for.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
All right, any other questions for our highway superintendent? He did also submit the the nice letter that would go out to residents talking about liability and so forth, and we did get some feedback from our council. So,
Yeah, I don't know if I mostly did it to have in writing, so it's available if it is ever questioned, and it could be put on,
policy, yeah.
it could be put on the town's webpage underneath the highway department. I believe Richmond has something similar right now.
Makes sense.
We've never actually mailed a letter out, but it has been published in either a penny saver or something like that, but we've never actually mailed the letter out to everybody.
We could use our email service as well, info@candidatesnotnewyork.gov.
I did fix your corrections.
Okay,
as well.
okay, you saw my question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving right along, we have anyway, Lake Watershed.
So we had a pretty typical year from the lake standpoint. First half of the summer was pretty good. Second half of the summer was not so good. Lake is well into its fall pattern, getting ready for winter, so hoping for an old-fashioned real winter with ice in before Christmas and ice out the first week of April. Last winter, we had 4 weeks of ice cover.
Good luck with that.
Only 10 days of ice fishing. And the most important thing, and I guess you're aware of this, Chris, but the boat cleaning station has arrived and Betsy Landry is looking for a place to store it.
I can report on that when you're ready.
I believe she's contacted you, so. Took quite a while, but it is physically here. It's at the Richmond Highway Department. So you'll be hearing more about that as we get into next spring.
It's at the Richmond Highway Department?
That's where it is.
Okay, well, I was told they did not have the capacity to store it, so Candidates can handle it.
Yeah, that's true, but okay, you're bogging me down.
What's that?
So she had to have a place for it to be delivered where they had a forklift.
Right.
So she made arrangements with the Richmond Highway Department supervisor
Okay, she didn't tell me
to
that
get it
part.
off the truck.
She said it
So
was in
it's
Ontario
sitting
County.
in
Okay, got it.
the high school's parking lot. Next to the Richmond Highway Department garage, is where it is physically.
Okay.
But the Richmond Highway Department does not have an indoor place to store.
We'd like to see that asset go indoors, and we talked about it. We're comfortable with it. At the highway.
Worst case, Betsy could buy a cover for it if there was a place in a parking lot someplace. I'd guess it to be 15 feet long, 8.5 feet wide. I don't know how tall it is.
Do we have room to store it inside?
Probably. It's gonna take some creative rearranging, but we could probably squeeze it in that building out back.
Should we ask her to buy a cover? Should we ask Betsy to purchase a cover?
Well, that's her decision. Storing it here is just one option.
Okay,
There is a storage place in the north side of in the town of Naples called Six Valley Storage or whatever. That's where the weed harvester goes. So it could go there too, but there would be a cost associated with it. But I mean, there are options. Trying to stay out of the middle of that, but I got in trouble last Tuesday night, so I'm being careful.
So I think Candidates can handle it. That's my gut. That's my gut.
But if there wasn't an indoor space, but you could find a place and you're outside, she could buy the cover and doesn't need to be heated, it just needs to be out of the weather. Although if it sits outside, then you got the rain, snow. Get moisture in there.
Right.
Oxidation.
I do not know how tall it is.
Okay, anything else? Any
No,
questions?
I'm done.
Excellent. Thank you. Next up, assessor's report was filed. Any questions? Water district operations, we actually had August and September and on a quarterly.
So what I did was I looked at August and September together, and water usage was slightly higher in 2024, 40,000 gallons. So, you know, we're at the point right now that the system is quite stable, and the number of hookups is not changing markedly. And then the water district service report was also produced. And this quarter is high by $3,000. And that is new security software that was purchased at the recommendation of the state and city of Rochester, and further protects the system from security hacks.
So I have a question, Kate. Looking at both of these reports, the minimum chlorine level is supposed to be 0.2 milligrams per liter. One of them was 0.20 and the other one was 0.24. Maximum 1.27, 1.42. That seems to be varying quite a bit. I would hope that they could make some adjustments so it didn't get that close to the cutoff. I mean, that's very close to the red line. Anything below 0.2 is too low.
Right,
And they have one that's 0.2
right,
and they have one that's 0.24.
right,
But on the other high end, it's 1.27, 1.42.
right,
I would think they could bring up the bottom there somehow.
okay. And do more frequent chlorine treatment.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was back in August, and then September, they didn't really cross the
It's
point.
just right at the cutoff.
Okay. I will address your question to
And
Dave
I know
Rowley.
I'm probably only one of two people in this room that cares.
No, I would say that
No,
there
I'm
are
going
other
to change the
residents.
subject.
Yeah, okay,
Chlorine level and the time the water is in the storage tank also is a toxin. Addresses the toxins, if there's any toxins in the finished water.
right.
So I don't like seeing it that.
Good.
I don't know, but I've noticed that before.
Okay.
I had a question. Do you know who Greg Whitney is? The person that signs this?
He is in the, right,
Okay, my only request would,
Maintenance department over there.
my only request would be that second report, he didn't date it. And I'd like to make certain he always dates it whenever he gives us something, as a
Okay.
matter of protocol,
okay.
please. It's being picky, but. Well, thank you. Good comments. Anything else for water district? You got the financial report. There are no transfers this month.
Just out of curiosity, what are CD interest rates today?
Today, I just did one last week, and actually the short-term one I did got around 5.8 05.
So it's still pretty good.
It's still on the short term. Yeah. And the New York class is still decent, but it's starting to fade a little bit. They're still waiting for, if the Fed's gonna come up, they could do something next week. We don't know. Good question. Yeah, I'm renewing 2 more CDs on Wednesday, so I'll give you have another heads up on Wednesday. And you can see when they come due, typically, once the abstract is done, I've got the water district, DA funds and A funds always available 2 days after the meeting. And then we decide what we're gonna do with our investments. So need approval for the supervisor's report. A second,
I'll second.
discussion. Those in favor?
Okay, so
Whoop.
at the last meeting, we had tabled the
Correct. August.
August report. And if I remember correctly, it was tabled so that you could look at and advise on other changes that were required. Did you have an opportunity to do that?
No.
Okay, then I would strongly suggest that we leave.
I saw that when I got them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I would prefer to table them.
Table them both. Okay. Let me just make a note of that. Well, just, we didn't vote on it. So. Thank you.
I know you're busy.
Not much coming up. Unfinished business, there's a typo, my typo. We had our second annual day of caring and it was a success. Thank you to our CEO, Joe Miller, Deputy CEO, Rich Jokey, and also Highway Superintendent Jeremy for coming up with activities to keep 52 students and 6 faculty busy. And the kids loved it. There's a resolution in the packet and we're gonna keep doing it every year. The only thing is I could use more help next year.
More kids?
What's that?
More kids or more adults?
No, more adults, specifically someone from the town. I was absolutely exhausted. We need another person or two. So we'll talk about that next year. Thank you. Good news. Finally, after how many years, New York State has accepted our speed limit reduction to protect our highway assets, personnel, and the public. So that's delightful news. And I was thrilled to see that. So that made my day when that happened. Item 3, Jersey Hill Road. So BNL has a survey. They claim the boring data was delayed coming from the vendor, which was Labella. It had 4 borings on County Road 36, by the way. Then they brought the asset up to Jersey Hill. There's one on the high side of Jersey Hill and then one farther lower. It's about 6 feet of bedrock on the first one and maybe 30 on the second. And I've got that written down and they've working on how they're going to address that. He's hoping to have data back to me before our next meeting.
And there were only 2 bores that were
Yeah.
part of the,
On the Jersey Hill side, yeah.
okay.
Where was the 6 feet and the 30?
Well, the higher up you go,
Nicely, or-
what's that? It was on the north side of Jersey Hill Road and towards the top, you could see where the marks are in the pavement. You see it patched. And then farther down.
That's to the bedrock.
Yes, yes. The first one was only about 6 feet, I believe he said. I can get the file. I didn't bring it in. Do you want me to get the file? So we'll have a more comprehensive report within 3 weeks, he said. And that's a draft report, so we are a little behind the schedule. Things happen with the surveyor and the vendor and so forth.
So obviously we don't have the finished report,
Correct.
so we don't have an estimate, but are you are you envisioning this to be a 2025 project or a 2026 project?
Originally, I was thinking at least get started on it because then we've got to go out to bid for the big study,
Well,
the big engineering,
Yeah,
as far as
maybe a bid,
construction
but
and all that.
I'm worried about, I didn't see anything in the 2025 budget for it.
I think we have 50 or 60,000 for
Yeah, it's
engineering.
the 65,000.
Oh, I saw the
that we left in
65 for
there.
engineering. That's
Yeah.
for this?
Yes,
That's to do engineering. That's not to actually implement that.
correct. Oh, yeah, no, it would not be construction or anything like that, no.
Because I would think this would be eligible for state grants.
It is, when Megan Webster has earmarked some W,
Okay.
so yes, we're on that. In fact, we'll be talking about that
All
tomorrow.
right, so you've got the money for engineering the final plans.
Yeah, and the sooner we get information from him, then I can forward that to Ontario
Right.
County Soil and Water.
And maybe go out for an RFP, but Jeremy knows this now, but grant submission for the state grants is July. So we would need the detailed engineering work done in order for Soil and Water to submit.
It's already on the Soil and Water list and has been.
Yeah, okay.
Good questions, good comments. Yep. And again, we meet every 3 weeks. So, any other questions about that? Now, certainly, if you want more information, I can give you all kinds of information as far as, what Ontario County Soil and Water is for the whole county, including our Jersey Hills. So it was nice to see Canadice and a few line items added at the end. It's the last 3 items, and it's Canadice.
Yeah, but to submit a grant, we would need detailed engineering and the plan stamped with.
Megan takes care of that for us. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I know, but that all has to happen by June, let's say.
Okay, thank you. Town budget revisions. You want to stay for this, Mark? Because Mark's going to hang out. He said he's fine going through it, so we can. For old time's sake, okay. We're glad
I
you're,
have a couple more.
absolutely. Let me,
Rounded numbers. In the revised budget, the unexpended fund balance being budgeted to be used was about 100,000 less. Can you just at a high level, how did that come down? What caused that to come down?
a number of things. Our highway numbers changed a little bit.
I don't need to know the specifics, just the highway department came down, is that?
And a few others, and we're still 13,000 under the tax cap, which is 200, excuse me, 984, 848.
Well, speak for myself, but I'm glad to see it come down.
I wanted to make sure you saw that. Thank you.
We
Got a
also,
couple more
we
questions.
also had to add revenue in, Terry. Remember the mortgage? We didn't have the mortgage revenue in there. There were a couple of places where revenue was added.
Well, I just noticed right on the cover sheet, it jumped right out at.
Right.
Thank you.
So I see the town justice salary is still going up by 50%. You sent an email to them looking for
And you-
justification.
And you
Did
saw
get-
that, yep, and I copied you in on some
Yeah,
other
but did you get
similar,
a response?
got nothing.
Speak for myself. I have difficulty going with the 50% increase without seeing some justification. Just speaking for myself,
Mhm.
I have
doesn't
to-
seem, I'm not saying it's not warranted. I just would like to see the justification.
I understood and I hear you.
That happened last year. Somebody was asking for more money and we told them they need to justify it. And they came back up to the board, and justified it. We've asked now for it to be justified. It has not been justified.
Kate?
I agree. You know, there should be something, if it's a salary correction. And again, I don't know if anyone is on the Zoom that can help us. But we really should expect something from any of the entities. And the other one I would point out is Richmond Rec, We also have not seen anything from Richmond Rec.
I thought we did.
No, I put those numbers together. And we asked specifically what the budget and metric changes were because we couldn't see it in the documentation that was provided.
So I'm gonna try to state the Richmond Rec issue at a high
Separate.
level.
Oh.
First of all, the package that they sent you, right off the top, has an error in it. The cover memo, I'm gonna use rounded numbers, says the Canadice part was 25,895. The last attachment said the total budget was 89,000, 28%, and that's 25,000 even.
Mhm.
So the cover memo and the last attachment, there's a $900 difference. Right off the bat. One of them, there's some sort of discrepancy. One. Two, you've been supervisor long enough. We asked the Honeywell Library for a 3-year.
Mhm.
We asked the Richmond Fire Department for a 3-year. I don't know why they can't. And here's my problem. Look at Mark when I say this. I'll look at Mark when I say this. My memory over the time I've been on the board with Mark is the Richmond Rec program would go up single digits, 3%, 2%, 5%, not 135%.
Correct.
Never said anything like that. Just doesn't feel right. One. Two, yes, we had a senior citizens event. Mark didn't come. Maybe he's not a senior citizen. 2 pieces of pizza, some pop, and a candy bar. Come on.
And chicken wings.
Yeah.
That's just one of them.
Yeah. So how did they calculate the 28%?
Well, if you read in there, I think the funding for the meals was covered by a Rotary grant up until June of last year, then going forward. So the
Yeah, I
funding,
know, but it was pizza, pop. It's not $15,000.
right. But if I'm just amazed, honestly, I'm amazed when I heard Eileen told me about a breakfast pizza they got, and I thought this pizza was great. And I said, how much was that breakfast pizza, Eileen?
I think it was like 35. That was from Surefine.
Yeah, $35 for a nice pizza.
There may not be, this may be fine.
And that wasn't even a sheet
What I'm
pizza.
saying is,
They buy,
I'll look at
Breakfast
Kate when
pizzas
I'm
are
saying this.
expensive.
I cannot look at the package they sent you and figure out where the
No.
135% increase come from. And here's, to do it right, you would have to take senior citizens lunches, break that out by participation, swimming lessons, crafts, whatever.
right.
But I don't see anything, I can't. Kate, can you figure it out?
No, I provided the information that I could off the Richmond website and from the documentation that the rec director sent. That was it.
What it,
I just.
I
do
have no
numbers.
idea what they did. What it feels like is they changed the allocation system.
Absolutely.
In other words, prior to, from the beginning of the rec program through 2024, it was X% for Richmond, Y% for Canadice, Z% for Bristol. And they decided to change it in 2025 to be 2024 participation rates. I'm okay with that, but show me the detail.
Mhm.
But that's what it feels like. We should pay our fair share. I agree. It's a good program. I agree. But I don't see the
Show
details.
us the numbers. Please. And I would say the same thing for the court. Just, show us.
Help us help you.
Right. Right. Please.
Okay, so we,
Are you open to other comments?
I'm sorry.
Are you open to another comment?
Absolutely.
I think you should review the budget proposals last year because the issue with the court was in the light of the large increases for the supervisor and some others.
Mhm.
There were comments made that the courts would be taken care of this year.
This year, yes.
So
That I
you
agree.
might need to review that
And that's fine. I mean, I have no problem giving, I'm sure everybody feels the
Right,
same,
I
giving
know
what's
that,
due.
but if you want to talk about what is driving it. remind you to
Okay,
look
but,
at those last year's
but what's
numbers.
going on here is we have no data. So the salary that the two justices are requesting matches the other towns. It's equal to the benchmark, Bristol, South Bristol, whatever. But what's not obvious is what the workload is. Our town of Richmond has got to have a higher workload than the town of Canadice. So I don't know if it's two full-time justices or whether it's two half-time justices. I can't tell what it is.
It's two part-time all of us are part-time except for the highway. All of us.
Yes, but, well, all justices are part-time. All I'm
No, I'm
saying,
just saying for the town of Canadice. I don't know about other towns.
well, I'm assuming their workload didn't go up. This is a getting the salary to be where it's equitable. I assume. I would still like to see some detail.
Okay.
How long are we gonna give them? I mean, because we gotta get this finished up here.
Yeah.
Right.
How many times do we have to ask for detail? How many times do we have to play the games? I mean, there's comes a point where we're gonna have to say, hey, yay or nay.
With
getting it or
the
not.
increase, right, right.
I mean, because I don't want to be just tagged along. Yeah, we'll get it to you. Yeah, we'll get it to you.
Change our numbers. Yeah.
Can I just make a comment?
No.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We've never asked for detail on their jobs. I mean, never. I've never seen detail on their jobs before. And I don't submit detail on my job. I mean, people see what I do, but I don't submit anything with my budget request as far as salaries, just for equipment or whatever. So I think that's kind of a little bit different than what's ever been asked for before. Because what would you compare it to if we don't have any other previous data?
It's on the cover sheet.
I know, but we don't have any other previous data to compare it to. So even if they submit it, how would you know that it's a change?
Well, it goes back to the request of the library and the fire department. A three-year running analysis showing the number of cases handled, stuff like that. I'm assuming this 50% increase request is to get the pay equitable with the other towns, not because they expect the caseload to go up.
If I had to guess, that was part of the conversation last year. And so I think what we're asking for is verification of that from the court. Because we've also had a discussion that we've done significant salary adjustments the last 2 years, and it's gotta calm back down. And so if we okay this, everybody's got to understand that next year, COLA was just announced and it's 2.5%.
Yeah, I don't think for 2024, a year ago,
Right,
we adjusted salaries to get them where they should be.
for
Except
some,
we didn't
for
adjust
some
the
positions,
justice's salary.
not for all of them.
Right, I understand
That
that,
was above.
but a 50% increase in 1 year is pretty big.
And we did some significant increases last year. Yep.
Whatever.
And what we don't want is people to get discouraged. You know what I mean? And like I say, it may just be that they're looking for salary adjustments to bring their salary equitable to other towns. I wish that they would take 2 seconds and put it in writing.
That's what it appears like.
what
But
we're
some of
asking,
those other
isn't it?
towns that they're comparing the salaries to have one justice at 15,000.
Okay,
We have two at 15,000.
Right. I get it. I get it. I see that the court, is,
I
costing
looked at that
residents a lot of money.
Sheet that came from Kirsten, wherever it came from. Yeah. 15,000 is kind of typical, but a lot of those towns just have one justice.
Okay, what are we gonna do about both situations?
Just expressing my concern.
Even if it is, we want to be equitable with other places, we need something to tell us why they're doing it. I mean, you just don't throw out a number and say, okay. That's my feeling. I
Because
mean,
they asked for it last year, I believe is their position.
did they get it last year?
No, we didn't get anything last year. They didn't ask for anything
They
last year.
asked for it.
It could be as simple as,
Yes, they did. Yes, they
You
did.
don't remember the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
verbally,
I saw nothing in
yeah.
right, I saw nothing in writing.
No, Steve Engard attended a town board meeting.
Okay.
With the justification.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
We can look it up in the minutes.
Okay.
Let me ask you
Because
this.
the board didn't-
Is it too much to ask, okay, if we're going from 10 to 20, whatever the numbers are,
10 to 15,
pardon me?
10 to 15 times
Okay.
2.
Just show us, okay, you're saying that would be equitable. Just show us how that's equitable. So we're not opposed to that. I don't think anybody is.
Right.
Just show us how it's equitable. That's all we're asking.
That's it.
Something to cover our tail.
yes.
Can I ask a question?
Other towns that have two justices, not one justice.
Can someone define equitable for me? Just from a department standpoint, from, running the buildings department?
We're just looking to see if they're comparable to what other towns are getting paid.
With two
Because-
justices.
I mean, can we just define it as like an average and maybe, because I was figuring it as finding the average of the other code enforcers in the town or in the county, excuse me. And because equitable could be the highest, right? Because you're
Right.
equal to the highest pay. Can we settle it like an average?
True. I guess, yeah, that's what I was thinking is that.
The
Absolutely.
average?
And the other thing that you would look at, Joe, is you would look at other towns that have comparable populations. Because that's what creates the workload.
Right. Okay.
The assessor did a great job with a detailed breakout of all kinds of metrics.
Agree. What do you want to do?
Words pleasure.
Well, as far as the justice, I think you make the request again.
With a timeline. We need this by the state. I mean, you can
Yeah.
ask for whatever you want, but if you don't put a timeline on it, it's whatever.
There you go. We need to do the same thing with Richmond Rec.
Correct,
Okay,
agreed.
okay,
I ask one question.
Ask
absolutely.
two.
Was it a typo that you taken away the support for the library?
No, the tax model changed. So the library taxes and the school taxes now. If you got your school tax bill, or maybe you're in a different district. Way Uncle Hockton? Oh, then it was on your tax bill,
It's on your tax.
the one you just paid. Yeah,
Okay, so
Yep.
so there's no cost
correct,
directly to the town.
correct. Yep. My difference when I paid proportionate for myself,
Okay.
it was like $38 difference more. But I'm not that's me. So thank you. And back to the really a date.
Yeah, when do we need?
When we need set data, I mean, do we?
2 weeks is another 2 weeks in end of the month. I kind of needed just to get the packets out. How about Halloween?
Is that gonna give you
31st?
enough time?
Halloween is good.
Is it gonna give you enough time or do you want on the 28th? So you got enough to, because our meeting's gonna be on the 11th, the 31st. Is 11 days gonna be enough?
And with Richmond Rec, there's three things. A, taking it at face value, there's a $900 discrepancy in their package.
Right.
B, did they change the way they allocate costs between the three towns for 2025? Or is it the same as they've always been using it? And C, a 3-year justification so we can see.
Could you give that to me in writing so I could just put that in writing to them to satisfy?
Yeah.
No, it really would help. I can't write that fast. It would really help me. Just, I want to do what the board wants. However, an email would be great. Would you be comfortable with that, sir?
I could do that.
Thank you. And so Terry email,
Kate could do it better, I think.
but no, this is, I'm asking you, sir.
I'll shoot it out to both of you tomorrow morning.
You,
I'll copy Kate so she can edit it.
can you, yeah, you draft it and she'll
Yeah,
wordsmith.
Sure words.
How's that?
Great.
Okay. So from Terry via Kate,
I'm not an accountant.
we're writing. Or
I'll do a mini class.
what I'll do is I'll forward the,
Yeah.
Just doesn't feel right.
Understood.
duly noted.
Now, it may be like the Richmond Fire Department. We may have been getting a fantastically good deal all these years. And now we're being asked to pay our fair share. But
Right.
I don't see the detail to show us that.
I will say, Richmond Rec did reach out and we're gonna have another senior luncheon here the first, excuse me, second or third Wednesday in January. So once we get our calendar, it'll be on our calendar.
The second or third Wednesday?
Yes,
Okay, that's during regular business hours, just so you're aware.
yes. And they
It's
do
gonna be
that,
busy, it's gonna be busy here with taxes, so whatever, I'm just FYI.
okay,
That's not part of our daily routine, so.
right? Okay, yeah, it'll be here 2 hours max.
Yeah, and so you're gonna do all the setup and cleanup?
They're gonna do the setup and I'll participate with the cleanup.
Okay,
Yeah, they asked to come in the Tuesday before for the setup, and I thought that would be okay. Thank you. New business.
Wait. So I did not see any adjustments needed on the highway. Thank you. Everything got caught. The water district, we're gonna have to correct the revenue. Because I had reduced it to $309.
That one,
Because, yeah, that has to be exact. Otherwise, the county comes back on us.
right, and that is
It's
page,
the very last page in your packet, top, second line.
and there was one small item as,
so that's page number what?
It's page 1, water district revenue. It's the last page in the packet. And it's gotta be set back to 123,600 even.
And the actual account number?
Sorry about that. Hang on.
SW1-1030.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see data processing got added.
wait, can you just give me that number again, please? So I have it.
SW1-1030.
Yep, and the correct number is,
123,600. 400 units.
thank you.
And then I have a knit. It's on page 1 of appropriations. It's SW1 8320.4. The number is 10,353.
8310.4
Yep,
is now
$10,353.
$10,353.
Yep.
Does that include the fact that we're gonna have Quality Landscape do the both sites for mowing?
No, I got looking at that, and we have to remember that there is money coming in. Oh, no, okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
topic.
Yeah, because I talked to him, he didn't get me the quote, but he's willing to do it, and he said, geez, we parked there anyways, we had that discussion.
That should be covered by the $6,000.
Okay,
Once we get the
So you're-
transfer set up.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I'm sorry, that number I was writing and talking at the same time,
That's fine.
the 8310.4, 10,500,
10,353 even,
10,353.
please.
So we're covered for that service. And anytime highway wants to swing by, if they feel like, if he wants to, would be good. If he's going by.
And
Department of Health loves it.
the Department of Health flagged the weeds, or did we let you know that? That's why this conversation is coming up
The weeds where,
around
Okay.
Sure.
and down at the bottom of the hill. Around, I think it's around the hut that's at the bottom.
Just,
The tank. Yeah, we mow as far as we can reach right there.
Okay,
so,
and then Quality's gonna do the rest of that. Okay,
we'll see. He's just got to get back to me, but we did have a conversation. He pulled over and it was about both sites.
okay,
As long as you feel we're covered, I estimated, 50 per trip and 7 trips a year times 2. Like 1,400, 700 rather.
we're fine.
Okay, all right. Other items.
That was it for me.
We're going to preliminary soon.
I'm sorry, I have one more question on that 18, the 10,353.
Yes,
I'm seeing 10,353, so what's the change?
It was 10,353 on the first. On the workshop from the 20th. And it was changed. On the. One dated 10/10. Want me to show you?
But you're saying it should be 10,353.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
good question. You're on. Further discussion as we move closer to a preliminary budget. I don't have any more questions. Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing the draft of that letter. You can copy me in
Okay.
on the way. And I will re-forward a letter that was sent. CRB. Okay. Setting time, place for public hearing to entertain comments to the proposed 25 budget. Need a motion. Second,
I'll
Oh.
second.
those in favor?
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Mr. Mitchell,
Thank you.
I'm going to block number 2 and number 3, purchasing tractor mower and 10-wheel plow truck. The plow truck's here early. Got to pay for it.
I'll make a motion to approve the truck and the mower.
Those two are motion and a second.
Second.
Rick second. Those in favor?
aye.
All right, those go. Reappointing Carol Ann Jokey, Canada Zoning Board of Appeals. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Those in favor? Aye. I'll make a motion to thank Paul Miller for his service to the town as a town justice and a Canada's Planning Board member.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Those in favor? All right, okay. Got a new planning board member. His name is Richard Winterman. Need a motion
So move.
and a second.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we still have open position?
Alternate.
Okay.
He's gonna do a bang up job. I love it. Finally, after lots of work, our hazard plan is complete. Thank you to Jeremy for his input and others. And boy, I'm glad that's over. I'm making that motion.
Second.
Terry seconds. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Here's a controversial one, number 8. I got this right. We're setting a public hearing to entertain comments to approve a septic placement right near a lake. 5663 Canaanice Road.
Can't you pipe it right into the lake?
Oh, jeez.
How it goes now.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, who made the motion? You guys are laughing too much.
The supervisor made the motion and Mark seconded.
Thank you.
Mark Stat seconded.
I heard, yeah. There's only one Mark on the board now. That's good.
Just making sure we don't, it's easy to confuse.
So
No, not for me. It's not.
that's fine. Did we vote on this?
We
No.
have not. It's open for
This is a
discussion.
Public hearing. yeah.
Well, my only question for Ted is, would the changes your planning board are looking at make this unnecessary in the future?
No.
This one?
Timing's not
Well, also.
fast enough.
In the future.
We,
also I think-
In the
we talked about it. So
I just,
good question. We're doing everything we can. Government moves slow.
yes.
No, but that's not his question anyway. Do you want to answer it, Mark Malmandier?
No.
Okay, yeah, Ted and I were chatting.
No, Ted answered it. He said no.
Well,
that this will
whoa,
still
whoa,
be-
whoa, let's back up a little bit.
Road.
My understanding is the change is you're going to go with the state standard.
Correct.
State standard requires a 10-foot setback. From property line.
Yeah,
This is 5 feet from the property.
Okay.
So in this case, it'd still be here.
but it's actually 5 feet from the road, right?
Well, it's 5 feet, well.
From the right of way.
Well, no, the right of way is actually a little bit farther west from the property. You know, we're talking maybe a foot or two. But,
Yeah, but this new septic system is
well,
close to the road.
yes, yeah, that's.
It's not close to another house property line.
Correct.
That's-
Yeah, it's
that
not as
was-
close as the current.
Yeah.
Former non-functioning leach. So
Okay.
even though it's close, yeah, it's still an improvement. It still doesn't smell. Grass sure is green.
All right.
So you still need a variance, even with the law was following the state guideline. Still need a variance from this local board of health for that. It's a plan, so I didn't know.
Yeah, no.
And you would need it from the local board of health and not the
That's a
CEO.
Check that. Because we're going to. Are we allowed to give a variance beyond what the state regulation is?
That's up to the board of
That's a
health.
good question.
I'm thinking this through, and you can give it for a local regulation, but you can't really deal a state law.
State code.
State code,
You can, but there's a process for it.
but it's still the local board of health. That's that. So
There's a different body that has to weigh in,
I mean, I gotta go someplace.
Well, that's what I'm raising the question.
right?
I think because it's on a town road that it's not, we don't have to go to the county board. Is that what you're asking? Or are you talking about state board?
Who has to approve a variance for this situation?
Your New York State Building Code, if you
Yeah.
want a variance from the New York State Building Code, you have to comply with the variance process for the
New York State Building Code.
Right, but he would also have to get one from us too, because our town code still says 8.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, short term, I still have to meet the town code. I can ask Bill Grove, my engineer on the project.
clarify.
Yeah,
to
do that.
know what other towns are. He seemed to indicate it was just the town board after this board. I don't confirm that.
You know, Joe, if we to check that too,
Mhm.
Yeah,
you know, and you have to get a variance from the state, seems silly to me, that you could go to the local to get a variance also.
Well, I think the locals are closer to the problem.
Well, the state trumps the town.
Right.
And where I get into this is the New York State Public Boat Launch in the southeast corner of the lake. Is in the town of Richmond. Town of Richmond has no jurisdiction over what they do. I've had that, a number of issues there. Water,
Well, it's like we had.
lack of a
EDC,
septic system,
we had no
you know,
say.
basically
That's true.
whatever.
That's
But
true.
basically, the town of Richmond cannot enforce anything on the state. Now, that's a whole different
Make it as
situation,
easy as
but
possible.
Right.
I have seen that over and over again.
Well, could I suggest that, you set the hearing, just so we keep that motion?
Mhm.
Because, you know, it's not critical, but, you know.
Those in favor?
but
Aye.
Yeah.
But I'll make an inquiry with Bill Grove, and I don't know if Joe knows somebody that I'll check that with or what.
Okay, it carries. Kickoff is in 10 minutes. There's- Sorry. Oh, I Buffalo Bills game, Monday Night Football.
Right, right.
Can I ask another quick question here? And this is, Joe, you might pick in on this. I did already submit a permit application for it. I realize it can't, you know, be approved until we get this variance set up, but is that, do you need anything else for that? I've got B-size drawings. Now, I don't know if Bill sent you any. I emailed everything else in the application.
He wouldn't have actually seen it yet. I processed it and he knows that it's here at the town hall, but he wouldn't have actually seen it yet.
All right, so let me know if you need anything else. Like I said, I think Grove was gonna send some B-size drawings. He sent me a couple. So
Oh, yeah.
email everything else. to
B's
PDF.
always good. Yeah. Okay, next one, appreciation for students and staff of the Honeywell Central School District who performed tasks within the Canadice Town Hall campus on September 27th.
Motion to approve.
And a section.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Thank you. Again, it's such a big thing for us. I think it's great. Still pursuing, possibly looking at expanding our organics program. We are funded for next year. The same thing we're currently doing, but they would like to see us expand it. They being the Department of Sustainability, Ontario County.
Mhm.
And that'll be one of my meetings tomorrow. And I'll be actually talking with Daryl Marshall tomorrow, seeing if there's some ways we could maybe look at a bag drop off similar to what Canandaigua and Victor are doing. Because the landfill waste diversion kind of ties in.
Is there a cost to residents when they get involved in that program?
No,
Everything's free?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
good question.
okay. And you know, I am very concerned about starting new programs until we have a decision on that landfill. Very concerned,
Right? Understood.
okay? And I know that's not for us, but
Oh, I would love the input. Chris Singer will be making a privilege of the floor at our next Board of Supervisors meeting, talking about her opinions on the landfill. And I encourage Canadice residents to look at this, look at the documents on the Ontario County Waste. This landfill, really important. My feeling going way back was close it. It's the worst thing in the world. They're polluting the lake. It's awful. The more I read about the whole thing, the $6.7 million impact to the county And then where does that waste go? The closing the landfill, the environmental consequences will be awful, just awful. And I keep bringing this up to many folks. I brought it up at Mueller Field Station. After a certain classes were done, I asked the professor if I could just have a moment of people's time, and I just said, what do you think about this? Who lives in Ontario County? And they said, well, where's the waste gonna go?
Mhm.
That's a great question. It's gonna go farther. So your input, whether you agree or disagree with what I'm finding, is fine. And I'll grant you privilege of the floor at the county anytime you want. Approval of the bills.
Motion to approve.
I need a second. Those in favor? All right. that
Who
carries.
seconded? You guys are awful quiet now.
Rick,
Thank you.
yeah,
Okay, had a resident who's been calling quite a bit. It's interesting, we got the speed limit dropped right in that neighborhood, but at the corner of Birch Hill and Middle Road, there's a stop sign. And there's people not stopping. A school bus almost got hit again the other day. We've got video of it. Called the sheriff, and my understanding is they're gonna be there, and I'm hoping they're gonna be there for tomorrow's school run. And have you seen a little more sheriff presence here? And I included you, and you could certainly tell your daughter about this too, because it's a big deal.
She works 7 to 7.
7 PM to 7 AM.
Oh. Darn it. Well, just, pass that on, because, when I get, in my spare time, I get phone calls and emails and things like that. It's my responsibility to kind of forward that along to the right department, and it's been ongoing for a while, and it looks like it's gonna be addressed now. We had 2 tickets given in Richmond on Main Street the first week of school because of the same kind of thing. So when you see a school bus, when you see a crosswalk, you see kids, please slow down, all those things. And I'm sorry I even have to say that.
Unfortunately, that's not just a problem, that's fine to candidates.
Right.
It's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Stop sign means nothing.
It's unbelievable. And whether they're texting or whatever, and then they do it once, and say, you know what, it's a no look intersection. Or it's just awful.
Purcell Hill Road. Yeah, nice stuff.
But anytime you got video or whatever, I mean, just if we save one accident, one life, one problem, it's worth doing. I do have plans for the new bunkhouse. If you want to look at it, I'll just pass those around. That's going to be going, and again, they're going to come before the planning board. And
In
other,
the package, there was this, I forget what county, but was challenging the New York State Legislature on the
Onondaga, I think it was Onondaga.
even year election. What is Ontario County Board of Supervisors position? Or if they have one. Maybe it hasn't come up yet.
Well, we've had so many things that's not even on the radar. Really. I was okay with it because that meant 3 years for me instead of 4 if I run.
So Onondaga, whatever county it was,
Yes,
they're challenging it. Right?
yes,
So
Just to keep it the way it is.
It would apply statewide.
yes,
If they
yes,
succeeded.
yes, correct,
Getting it.
correct. Yep, good question.
It was Onondaga presented it as said, but it was a whole bunch of counties that went in with that.
I'm just curious.
And I haven't heard anything, no one's discussed it. It came out from Association of Towns and no one's said anything about it. And maybe during my meetings this week at the county, it'll come up. We have so many other things that are a little more important at the landfill's the big one. Landfill's the big one. Other privilege of the floor. Oh, by the way, speaking of county funding, 0 county funding for this. The Mueller Foundation is funding half of it and New York State is funding the other half. I forgot to mention that.
you read my mind.
So, yes, and similarly, our new facility at the college we're going after similar situations. So, yeah,
New
no
York
county
State's-
funding.
No county.
So as long as you brought that up. Finger Lakes Community College proper. what's their, what's the right word? What is their class size? Is it trending down? Is it flat? Is it going up? What's happening to the enrollment at the college?
It is going down.
Down.
It is going down.
1-2% a year, 5-10% a year?
I've got the data and if you send me an email, I've got a meeting
Well,
with
I
the
gotta
college
send
on
you-
Friday. If
yeah.
you send me an email, I can address it and
All right.
I can put it on the agenda.
I was
the
just
latest
curious.
numbers. No, that's a good question. It has been declining. So the Victor campus, it's currently being rented. It is going to close.
Victor campuses.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Yeah.
I gotta put school to bathroom.
What's that?
So I gotta put school. to
Well,
thought of it.
and some students have actually said, oh, that'd be great because they feel like they're not part of that campus
Right.
community. They don't get that college experience when they're in Victor. This is what some Victor students have said. So we kind of do talk to the students and the
Do
faculty.
they own lease there, right? They don't.
I think so.
I think they do lease it.
So FLCC, are they reducing some programs?
Well, the massage therapy program went away and they're always looking at numbers. There are some programs that aren't large numbers and they will add and subtract programs. Right now, the biggest trend is in micro certificates, if you will, and I forgot what that word is. So you could take short certificate programs, shorter seminars just to get credentials, micro credentials.
Correct.
Micro credentials is the trend. I went to a seminar, and if you take a 3-week course in micro credentials for AI, the top students are making $850,000 a year. Fact. But that's only a few of them because they know how
Thank
to ask the right question to AI, and that's the trick. And then understand the answer.
Mhm.
That's all I've got. Privilege of the floor.
The security system replacement.
Yes.
So we have the bids in from the vendors.
Yeah, the Doyle's, I reached out to see if SG's quote is still good. Doyle's quote is still good till December 4th. As far as the quotes go,
Okay. It's not in the budget next year.
then we should make sure it's added.
Okay.
Well, the other thing is we could pay for it now. That was my thinking too, because we could get that done. How does the board feel about that?
It's an expense that's not in the budget. Do we have enough?
I think we could find the money somewhere.
So John
We're
told
working
me to
budget.
take over for him. I make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I asked if I should bring up Heather.
You could have. He's gonna come back eventually. I'll second it.
Okay.
Those in favor?
Uh,
Any abstentions?
Jeremy, have you?